Hello and welcome to Columbia College Chicago's Hoods, Hyde Park Edition. I'm your host, Katie Berg. Today we will be taking a closer look at Chicago's Hyde Park. Hyde Park is a thriving neighborhood filled with art, music, and so much more. Its unique culture and atmosphere has attracted residents from all over and inspired many works of art. Let's take a look at some of those remarkable pieces from the Hyde Park Art Center.
The Hyde Park Art Center was formed in 1939, basically coming out of a bunch of artists living in Hyde Park who really wanted to gather together and make a school and an exhibition space. And right now we're celebrating our 75th anniversary, and it's been great to be able to have this longevity of history and to see how the Art Center has changed over the years.
The Art Center, in terms of the art landscape in Chicago, is a really unique place because of its experimental nature, for one. Its size allows it to both be an experimental and nimble organization, but its mission and history has deep connections with the contemporary art world, both here in Chicago and around the country. So we have this really interesting mix of being nimble, small, and experimental, while at the same time being, legitimate and established and credible.
The Hyde Park Art Center pulls its artists from all over the city, as well as all over the country, actually. Our solo shows are dedicated to Chicago-based artists, but when we have group shows, we try to pull in artists from other cities and other countries so that we can expand the vocabulary of Chicago art being produced here and make it relevant to what's happening outside of, and vice versa.
Much like the Art Center, I would say the education programs that we offer are pretty experimental here. We support artists at many different levels and give them opportunities to present themselves. Students here can take classes to learn how to do things. They can also take independent project programs such as Center Program, which we're in the middle of the exhibition for here. It's a really cool place to every day walk into and know that you're probably going to see something you didn't expect. We have really unique, sort of collisions that happen and reactions that come out of them, and results in the form of exhibitions, programs, and events that I think don't happen anywhere else.
Wow, those were some beautiful pieces of art we just saw. Along with Hyde Park's beautiful art, Hyde Park is the home of the University of Chicago. Established in 1890, it is no wonder that the University of Chicago has some of the most extraordinary architecture around. Let's take a look at one of their most popular buildings.
The chapel was built in 1928. That was the completion date. They started construction in 1926. It took 2 years to build, which is a much shorter span of time than the medieval European cathedrals on which this chapel was based. This chapel is built largely in traditional techniques of masonry and limestone. There's not structural steel in the main nave, which is the area that we're in right now, because they wanted to build it to look and last like the great European cathedrals. There is steel in the tower to support the weight of these immense bells, which are some of the largest that have ever been cast that you hear playing behind me. We have worked very hard to maintain the historic woodwork and the marble and the limestone. We've got mosaics above me. We've got some amazing wood sculptural carving in the choir stalls that are behind me. And aside from some adjustments to bring more modern electrical service or lighting or audiovisual to the surrounds, we've really done a very careful job over time. It was started, conceived, and really built with the idea that it would have a dimension of inter-religious and intercultural exploration. So there's not a lot of very specific Christian iconography around the place. We tried to draw on a diversity of traditions, a diversity of intellectual perspectives, so that the people that were speaking from the pulpit were not just Christian preachers or thinkers. Rockefeller builds communities of many different kinds. We have a very active choral program here with students and professionals and community members that are coming on a weekly basis to fill the space with music. We have an active organ teaching studio and an active carillon teaching studio. A lot of the carillons around Chicago and even around the country have been trained here on this instrument. Community productions, theater companies coming in, youth camps here learning about the instruments, teaching of the laboratory school students who will come in for tours. I had some in last week. And if you take a tower tour, you're able to walk up the 271 spiral stairs to the top of the tower, take in the amazing view of Chicago, and hear the carillonneur play recitals on the bells. And then we have Handel's Messiah, which is an annual celebration that's been taking place here, again, since the chapel was incepted. Concerts, amazing soloists coming in nationally to perform here on the chancel with a full orchestra. And we're really working towards this new space that we have, which is a spiritual life center at a building right across the street here, which we've just finished installing the new furniture in, and students are using and exploring that for the first time for meditation and prayer. So it's a very busy time here at Rockefeller.
Such charming architecture. Coming up, we're going to jazz things up with one of Hyde Park's most in-demand record stores. But first, here's a word from our sponsors.
Check out this chef, right? Right? That's so gay. That's really gay. Dude, look at those pants.
Please don't say that.
What?
Don't say that something is gay when you mean that something is dumb or stupid. It's insulting. It's like if I thought this pepper shaker was stupid and I said, man, and this pepper shaker is so 16-year-old boy with a cheesy mustache. Just saying. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Welcome to my block party. Glad you can make it.
The only triple doubles you get come with fries.
Last time you blocked someone, you were online.
I can do this all day. Your moves are just gay.
Using gay to mean dumb or stupid, not cool.
Not cool.
Not in my house, not anywhere. It's not creative, it's offensive to gay people. And you're better than that.
Welcome back. Now let's boogie down and take a look at Hyde Park Records.
Hyde Park Records has resided near the corner of Dorchester and East 53rd Street since the mid-70s. Originally, Hyde Park's favorite little record shop came out of a chain known as Secondhand Tunes. With its large selection of classic jazz and soul, along with a family feel type of environment and staff, no wonder people of the community continue to spend their time in this musical home.
So here we get some of everything, every kind of music is represented. What we get the most is a lot of jazz, soul, R&B music, especially due to the fact that we are on the south side of Chicago, and a lot of those are coming through the doors here in the store, and that's what a lot of people are looking for.
Not only does the shop have a reputation in the town of Hyde Park, but they also have customers who come internationally just to find specific records that are hard to find. And with these prices, who doesn't love a good deal?
We get a lot of in-store events, such as DJ sets. A lot of DJ come and play, especially on Saturdays afternoon. They come and play vinyl, a lot of old rare grooves, and we also have musicians and groups that come and play live in the store on a regular basis. People who come through the door are looking for something a little bit more than just music in their headphone. You can have a hard disk with a million songs, but you don't know which one to listen to. And people like to actually get some information about the music, sometimes have a physical contact, such as having a CD or a vinyl in their hands. The purpose behind owning Hyde Park Records, I would say, was for myself to own a business that I like, doing something that I appreciate to do every day. It's a never-ending story.
For more information, go to www.hydeparkrecords.com or call 773-288-6588.
Now in studio, we have a special guest speaker. Jonathan Humphrey is a resident of Hyde Park, a former radio DJ, and a self-proclaimed music expert. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
It was great to have you. All right, tell me, why are you a self-proclaimed music expert?
I've just spent a lot of time and a lot of money investing in music of all different kinds. At one point in time, I had around 600 CD collection. I think that in itself speaks that that's at least 600 hours of music I've listened to alone. I mean,
you listen to everything off of every single song, front and back.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I don't think because do you like every song on those CDs?
Well, obviously not every
I mean, because
song.
there's always that one song you don't like.
That's very true. But then again, a lot of artists, it's an art that's kind of dying out. But a lot of artists intend the album itself to be a statement, as opposed to individual songs. The whole album is one piece of art comprised of several songs. So even the songs you don't like, if it's an album like that, they have importance within the piece, regardless of my personal feelings for them.
Who are some artists who you see today who are still keeping that alive? The art within their music?
It's dying more and more. I would say one of my absolute favorite Chicago bands, Joan of Arc, actually they're just one of my favorite bands, period, but they are from Chicago, and every one of their albums is a concept album in some way, and every piece is important whether I like it or not. And it's important, you get more from it when it's like that. It's an artistic statement as opposed to a commodity.
Did you say you said it's dying out these
Oh,
days,
I
right?
definitely would say that that's dying out. Music is becoming more and more of a commodity and less of an artistic statement. Now that's a blanket statement. Obviously, there are still lots of people who are trying to make art, but it's harder to compete in modern times.
And why do you think that is?
Well, the internet is a blessing and a curse, but people aren't paying very much for music. The money that they are paying for music isn't going to the artists. And if the artist can't make a living making music, they don't have the time to make the music.
So you're saying that the immediate fastness of getting things because of the internet is what kind of like how it's declining in media and all that stuff?
Well, speed and corporate interest. Because you got to think every song you're buying off iTunes, how much of that is actually going to Apple?
I don't know. Do you know how much there's actually
I really don't have the actual numbers on that, but I'd imagine it's at least a third of it.
Dang, so then how much would the artist get? Just not...
Well, that's a good question, because then you've got to include the record label and the publishing company, so how much does the artist get? And
so you have to be like Beyonce to actually make any money.
Yeah, that's why a lot of artists are completely avoiding that kind of directly, stuff like SoundCloud and things like that, or Bandcamp, directly trying to get their music from them to their audience and not have any middlemen.
Right. What are some things that you see in Hyde Park that's keeping traditional music alive?
Well, I mean, for one, Hyde Park Record Store is, people in Chicago probably take advantage of the fact that they have record stores here. They're closing all over the rest of the country. I mean, I'm originally from North Carolina, and I used to have like a favorite record store in every city in the state, and now none of those record stores exist. They just don't exist. So it's nice to have Hyde Park Records, and just a couple blocks away from my house, there's a big blues club, and you can just very much tell that the blues and jazz is very important to that neighborhood.
Right. Do you think the record stores are going to stay around in Chicago at all, or do you think they're going to go as well?
It's hard to tell. I feel like, from what I've experienced and the people I've talked to who work at or own the record stores, it's a project of love. They're owning record stores because they want to be a part of it. So the best hope for them to stay around is for people to support them, because again, just like artists, they've got to make the money too.
All right, well, you'll be supporting him still.
Oh,
I'm going to go check it out because I didn't know this. So thank you so much for being here today, Jonathan. Alrighty, as you have seen today, Hyde Park is a place of history, art, and so much more. Thanks so much for joining us today for Hood's Hyde Park Edition. Once again, I'm your host, Katie Berg, and be sure to tune in later this afternoon where we will be exploring another neighborhood in the beautiful city of Chicago.